So, you're thinking about getting a new car. You see the sticker price, but you know what? That's just the opening chapter of a much, much longer story. In today's completely chaotic market, the real cost is a number most of us never even think to calculate. So, let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on.
What if I told you that this number, $92,624, is what you could actually end up paying for your next truck?
Yep, that's right. A vehicle with a sticker price of 63 grand can somehow balloon to cost you almost $93,000 by the time you've owned it for just 6 years. I know, it sounds absolutely nuts. So, how on earth does that happen? Well, it happens because we've all been trained to ask the completely wrong question. We walk into a dealership laser-focused on one thing, the monthly payment. And that, right there, is the first and honestly the most expensive mistake you can possibly make.
This brings us to what I call the monthly payment trap. It feels so smart in the moment, right? But it's a mindset that can cause some serious financial damage for years to come.
Right now, the average car payment is already over $700 a month, and that feels like the main cost, doesn't it? But really, that's just the price of admission. The real costs, we're talking gas, insurance, maintenance, repairs, they're all just waiting in the wings.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful statement, isn't it? It really forces you to kind of rethink everything. Instead of asking, can I afford the monthly payment? The question we should be asking is, what is the total cost to own this car?
Okay, so let's talk about that magic number, the total cost of ownership, or TCO. This is the only figure that gives you the complete, unvarnished truth about what a car is really going to cost you. You know, this iceberg image is the absolute perfect way to visualize the problem. That monthly payment, that's just the tip, the little part you can see above the water. But lurking just beneath the surface is this massive hidden cost that can totally sink your budget. So, what is TCO exactly? Well, think of it as the full financial picture. It's not just the payments. It is every single dollar you will spend over the life of that car. We're talking about the value it loses, the gas or electricity it uses, the insurance you have to pay, the tires you'll eventually replace, and all the taxes you owe. It's the whole shebang. Now this chart, this really puts it all into perspective. Just look at that huge chunk for depreciation. That's the value your car loses the second you drive it off the lot, and it's completely invisible in your monthly payment. And get this number varies wildly between brands. A truck might hold its value incredibly well, while some luxury sedan could lose half its value in 3 years. That difference alone can be thousands and thousands of dollars. And here's why this conversation matters more right now than ever before. Since 2020, thanks to inflation, the total cost to own a vehicle has shot up by a staggering 27%. The world your parents bought cars in, it just doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, so now that we get the real cost, how does that knowledge actually help us make a decision? You've basically got 3 main options: buying, leasing, or this newer choice of subscribing. Let's see how TCO impacts each one.
So here's a really quick overview. Buying means you own it eventually, but your payments are going to be the highest. Leasing gets you a lower payment, but you're just renting, you own nothing, and you have to deal with strict limits. And then there's subscribing, which is the most flexible, kind of like Netflix for cars, but it's a totally different model. Okay, so here's the crucial point. Each path has its own traps. With leasing, you can get hit with these nasty surprise fees for driving too much or for tiny little dings and scratches. But with buying, you are on the hook for that huge depreciation hit and any major repair bills that pop up the second that warranty runs out.
So, you're armed with the knowledge of TCO. You're weighing your options. But there's another huge layer to this decision. There's a major shift happening in the global car market that could change absolutely everything. Let's take a look at what's coming in 2026.
For the last decade, it felt like the compass was pointed firmly towards all-electric vehicles. But now, a major policy shock is changing that direction. Governments in the US, Europe, and even China are starting to scale back their EV incentives and those aggressive mandates. You can see just how quickly this has all happened. I mean, just a few years ago, it was all about incentives and targets. Now, major support like that federal tax credit is gone, and the market is reacting to what it's seeing: slowing consumer demand for pure EVs. So what's filling the void? What's happening as EV sales slow down? Well, hybrids are having a major moment. Sales are absolutely surging as people look for a practical middle ground. Better fuel economy than a gas car, but without the range anxiety or the high price tag of a full EV.
Okay, I know, that is a lot to take in. You've got a chaotic market, hidden costs, changing technology. So how do you actually make the right call for you? Let's build a simple, actionable framework right now.
Here is probably the most practical tip you'll get today. Before you even think about your budget, take the monthly payment the dealer quotes you and double it. Seriously, a $500 payment is really a $1,000 a month commitment once you factor in TCO. That's your real number.
So how do you know if you can truly afford that doubled number? A great rule of thumb is to make sure your total debt, and that includes your mortgage, student loans, and your real car cost, doesn't eat up more than about a third of your income. If a new car pushes you over that line, it is a crystal clear sign that it's too much for your budget.
All right, so before you decide, ask yourself these 4 simple questions. And be honest with yourself. How long are you really going to keep this thing? How many miles do you actually drive? Do you absolutely need the latest and greatest gadgets? And finally, are you trying to save money this month, or are you playing the long game and trying to save over the next 10 years? Your answers are going to point you to the right choice.
And this really brings it all together. Buying is almost always the best financial move if, and this is a big if, only if you keep the car for more than 6 years. Leasing makes sense for low-mileage drivers who really prioritize having a new car with new tech. And subscribing? That's for really unique situations, like a temporary project or a completely no-strings-attached way to see if an EV actually fits your life.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. In a market this expensive and this uncertain, with TCO costs surging, could it be that the smartest financial move is to avoid getting a new car altogether? If your current car is running well, holding on to it just might be the best decision you make all year.